everybody. Welcome to Pajama Storytime. Today, to celebrate the reopening of the library, which happened this week, we're going to be reading books all about going to the library. So if you didn't know, what happened this week is that the library is now reopened to browsing appointments. That means that you have to call ahead, but if you do call ahead, you can come into the library for half an hour to take a look at some of the books on the shelves and pick them out for yourselves. So to celebrate, we're going to read some books about doing just that. The first one will be The Library Book by Tom Chapin and Michael Mark. It's actually based on a song called The Library Song. We might get a little into the melody of it, but I think we're just going to be reading it straight through today. We also got Curious George Visits the Library by Margaret and H.A. Ray, and Bats at the Library by Brian Lies. Okay, so our very first book, The Library Book. Just gotta find the page. Here we go. Saturday morning, and the rain is pouring. Just like this past weekend. Dad worked late last night. He's in there snoring. Same old stuff on TV. Ugh, boring. So what if I can't go out and play? I know what I'll do today. I'll go down to the library, picking out a book, check it in, check it out. There we go. And there's our person walking down to the library. Gonna say hi to the dictionary, picking out a book, check it in, check it out. Now, I like books and they like me. So when I go to the library, I sit down in my favorite chair and check to see who's there. Who do you think she's going to meet at the library? Do you think it might be some of her favorite book characters? Maybe one book, maybe two. Take me home, says Winnie the Pooh. And if we have to travel far, I'll bring my honey jar. Oh, I'm going down to the library, picking out a book, check it in, check it out. Gonna say hi to the dictionary. Picking out a book, check it in, check it out. Sleeping Beauty yawned and said, I'll come when I get out of bed. Madeline says, let her nap, and jumps right into my lap. Here she is. The Cat in the Hat says, hey, I'll go. There's a cat in a hat. Don't take him, cries Pinocchio. Don't take that cat to your address. He always makes a mess. Oh, I'm going down to the library, picking out a book, check it in, check it out. Gonna say hi to the dictionary. Pick a book, check it in, check it out. I'm going down. No, we missed a page. I was like, there's something wrong here. Here we go. Mrs. Parker's back behind the checkout desk today. The Cheshire Cat jumps on her head and says, let's play. But Mrs. P says, goodness, are you sure you want all these? Oh, yes, we shout together. She says, shh, quiet, please. You don't have to be very quiet in here. At the Dobbs Ferry Library, no. I'm going down to the library, picking out a book, check it in, check it out. Gonna say hi to the dictionary. Picking out a book, check it in, check it out. The seven dwarfs begin to shout, say, take us with you, check us out. Then Cinderella gets her gown and Babar grabs his crown. Then Curious George, hey, swings from the shelf. Along comes Mother Goose herself. It's just like Curious George in the book we're going to read. But out the door we danced and sang the whole library rang. Oh, I'm going down to the library, picking out a book, check it in, check it out. Gotta say hi to the dictionary, picking out a book, check it in, check it out. I'm going down to the Shh, Mrs. P. She gets out of her chair, and they come over here and they say, picking out a book, check it in, check it out. The end. Now they've taken the book home and they're reading it at home on their bed. Winnie the Pooh. It was a fun book. And if you're interested in hearing the song, I will put a link in the description below for you to hear the song that book is based on. Okay, so our next book is Curious George Visits the Library, which actually is one of my mom's favorite books. So this is George. He's a good little monkey and always very curious. Today, George and his friend, the man with the yellow hat, were at the library. George had never been to the library before. He had never seen so many books before either. Everywhere he looked, people were reading. Some people read quietly to themselves. But in the children's room, the librarian was reading out loud. That's what we're doing right now, guys. It was story hour. George loved stories. He sat down with a group of children to listen. The librarian was reading a book about a bunny. George liked bunnies. Behind the librarian was a book about a dinosaur. George liked dinosaurs even more. He hoped she would read it next. But next the librarian read a book about a train. George tried to sit quietly and wait for the dinosaur book to be read. But sometimes it is hard for a little monkey to be patient. When the librarian started a story about jungle animals, George could not wait any longer. He had to see the dinosaur book. He tiptoed closer. "Look, a monkey!" shouted a girl. The librarian put her finger to her lips. "We must be quiet so everyone can hear," she said nicely. "But there's a monkey!" said a boy. The librarian nodded and smiled. "Mm-hmm," she agreed. When she finished reading the jungle story, the librarian reached for the dinosaur book. But where'd it go? And where was George? There he is. George was all ready to take the dinosaur book home and read it with his friend when another book caught his eye. What do you think he's going to read next? This book was about trucks. Ooh. George wanted to take it home too. And there was a book about elephants. George loved elephants. He added it to his pile. George found so many good books, he soon had more than he could carry. He leaned against a shelf to rest. Squeak, went the shelf. Shh, said a man. Squeak, went the shelf again. And it moved. Why, it wasn't really a shelf after all. George had found a special cart for carrying books. What luck! Now George could carry all the books he wanted. He rolled the cart between the shelves and stacked up books about boats and kites and baking cakes. He climbed higher to reach books about cranes and planes. Is that what those carts are for, guys? At last, George had all the books he could handle. He couldn't wait to head back home and start reading. And right in front of him was a ramp leading to the door. George was curious. Could he roll the cart all the way home? Down the ramp George went. The cart rolled faster and faster. "Stop!" a library volunteer shouted. "Come back here with my cart!" But George was too excited to listen. The cart was picking up speed, and George was having fun. "Oh no, George, don't do that!" Until, crash! George and the cart ran right into a shelf of encyclopedias. Books flew up in the air, and so did George. He landed in a big pile right between O and P. "Oh no," moaned the volunteer when he saw the mess George had made. "How am I going to put away all these books?" "I'd like to borrow this one," said a boy from Story Hour. "And I'll take this one," said a girl. With help from George and the children, the books were sorted in no time. Soon there was just a small pile of George's favorites left. That's so nice that they all helped. "Would you like to take those books home with you?" the volunteer asked George. Then he took George to a special desk and helped him get his very own library card. George was holding his brand new card when his friend arrived with a stack of books of his own. "There you are, George," he said. "I see you are all ready to check out." George and his friend gave their books to the librarian. She smiled when she saw George's pile. "I was wondering where this dinosaur book went," she said. "It's one of my favorites, too." The librarian stamped the books and handed them back to George. With his books under one arm, George waved goodbye to the volunteer, and the librarian, and the children from Story Hour. Come and see us again, George, the librarian said, waving back. Enjoy your books. The end. There's George reading the books with the man in the yellow hat. There's his dinosaur book and his truck book and his elephant book. What books do you guys want to take out when you get to the library, huh? We have so many different ones. We've got picture books like these ones. We've got chapter books. We've got easy readers. We've got all sorts of things. And if you're not ready to come into the library yet, that's totally okay too. You can still pick books up curbside, which means that you can let us know which books you want, and then you can just pick them up right inside our front door. And then, you don't have to come in at all. If you're in a rush or you feel more comfortable that way, that's totally okay too. So our last book is Bats at the Library by Brian Lies. Another inky evening's here. The air is cool and calm and clear. We feasted, fluttered, swooped, and soared, and yet we're still a little bored. It's just like the person in the library book, our first book, right? All the sameness leaves us blue and makes us ache for something new. Then word spreads quickly from afar. A window has been left ajar. Can it be true? Oh, can it be? Yes, bat night at the library. The sky is lively as we race together toward our favorite place. Eager wings beat autumn air. Look, that's it. We're almost there. There they are, flying towards the library. Then squeeze together, wing to wing. We rocket through the opening. We waited for this night all year, but this is it at last. We're here. For most old bats, this isn't new. They've got lots of things to do. They'll flutter off and lose themselves among the books lined up on shelves. Excuse me. Other bats in munchy moods will study guides to fancy foods, or hang out by a lamp instead, or talk about the books they've read. But little bats will have to learn the reason that we must return. The ones who haven't come before have no idea what's in store. Some of them will drift away and figure out a game to play, like shaping shadows on the wall or wingtip tag around the hall. This big box is loads of fun. Blasting brighter than the sun, instead of copying books from shelves, we can duplicate ourselves. Ha! They found the copy machine. Doesn't matter where you look, there's nothing like a pop-up book. The fountain water's nice and cool and makes a splendid swimming pool. Please keep it down, you must behave. This library is not your cave. It's hard to settle down and read when life flits by at dizzy speed, but story time is just the thing to rest a play-exhausted wing. Oh my God, and they're having story time. Just like we are, just like Curious George did too. And if we listen, we will hear some distant voices drawing near. Louder, louder, louder still, they'll coax and pull us in until everyone, old bat or pup, has been completely swallowed up and lives inside a book instead of simply hearing something read. Here's the different places that are bats. This one's on a horse. This bat it looks like a king, maybe. This bat's doing some cartwheels. It looks like Pippi Longstocking. This one says, "No more melted cheese for me, no." We've got this one looks like he is escaping and he's blindfolding. Here's a policeman and a lot of little bats. We've also got Good Night Sky. Do you recognize any other books that you like in this picture? Huh. Cool. Breathless, lost within the tale, no one sees the sky grow pale. Oh, they're so distracted by being the Sword in the Stone. That looks like Alice in Wonderland. There's a Peter Rabbit. What is that light? A lamp. The moon. Our bookish feast can't end so soon. It feels as though we've just begun, but now we leave our books half done. Through the window, into sky. It's much too late. We've got to fly. But maybe a librarian will give us bats this chance again and leave a window open wide to let us share the world inside. For now, we'll dream of things we've read, a universe inside each head. Every evening, one and all, we'll listen for that late-night call. Can it be true or can it be? Yes! Bat night at the library. There we go. And you guys don't have to wait till nighttime or the one special night every year to come to the library. You can come any day of the week. We're open. You can check our website for our hours. We're open different times every day, but we're open sometimes at night, a lot of times in the morning and the afternoon. So hopefully I will see you guys around. I'd love to meet you. For now, though, until next week when I see you again. All right. Bye, everybody.